Well, I'm not having that much luck with this cool looking Skywing Extra NG that I really wanted to fly today, or at least tomorrow, but it don't look too good. First problem I had was the BEC on the ESC. Supposed to be factory setup, it says in the paperwork, for 7.4 volts. But I get no voltage out of the BEC lead here. There you go. I don't get any voltage out of that lead at all. I put a voltmeter on it, and I get no voltage. So that kind of sucks. I could run a separate battery pack to run my receiver and servos, but that'd be the only way that I was going up. So that's kind of a drag. I don't have a programmer for these. I don't do much of this electric stuff, but I looked up the beep codes for programming and was able to get into programming mode, verify I was in programming mode, and then go through the 3 levels of beeps. First, I guess it's, 2, I guess it's technically four levels or 2 levels, depending on how you look at it. But the using your throttle on your transmitter, and I had to power the receiver and the BEC through the receiver, through the throttle channel, and then I was able to get it into programming mode 1, and then first of all I was able to get it in programming mode. Second of all, I was able to get it into the BEC operation, and then third, I was able to change that to 7.4 volts, which it was supposed to already be programmed to. But I noticed it doesn't have a disable option for BEC or a 0 volt option for BEC, and it had 0 volts disabled. So it was, the default on it is like 5.6 volts, but it had no volts, and there wasn't an option to change it to no volts. So kind of shouldn't be possible for it to be no volts, from all I can tell. I'm not an expert with these things, but at all. But yeah, I think I'm right, and I think this ESC is it's no bueno. I think I got a lemon. Here, so that's a bummer. That slowed me down. I really wanted to fly this thing, but I mean, it's not like I don't have other planes. Then while I got this all off, I went ahead and checked these bolts. See if I can get a focus on one. There's focus on that one. See if I can get a focus on that one over there. Yeah, there we go. And these motor bolts, you can see the other one down there too. So you can see 2 of them there, and then there's 2 over here. They have a blind nut, but they have no nylon locking nut on the back of that. And this is Skywing, not Extreme Flight. My Extreme Flight, I never took the cowl off. Everything just worked. Speed control worked, BEC worked, ESC worked, and the motor box never came loose. But I had a buddy, Mark, that had a new Skywing, and his motor box extension, this is an extension right here to the motor box, which is back here. Yeah, you can see that pretty good there. I did the maiden for him, and I went up for like 4 minutes, came down, and looked like the motor was falling off, but it was this motor box extension right here, this dish thing, that was falling off of the main motor box. And you can see that they, just have these bolts, but there's no blind nut. No nylon locking nut. There is a blind nut, but no nylon locking nut. There we go. In there, and also his didn't have any Loctite, so they just came right out. So the first thing I did was check mine. I checked this one right here that I'm working on. Let's see if I can get in there. Let's see. Are you gonna focus? More or less that. Yeah, that focused. I took that 4mm bolt out right there, and yeah, it just fell right out, like no Loctite and super loose. See if I can do it this way. Oh yeah, it's better. And so I knew, yeah, it's going to be just like Mark's, and I'm just going to waste a day down there because I'm on the Maiden. I'm going to loosen up this box and have to go home. So I went ahead and spun the nut or the bolt, the 4mm machine bolt out of the blind nut, which, like I said, was super loose and easy. Loctited it up, and then I went to the trouble of going ahead and putting a 4mm nylon lock nut on it too. So that should be good. This stuff, as you could see, if I put my fingers around here, is very small openings. So would not have wanted to try to do this at all. See how easy I can get this out of here. There we go. Without this. So otherwise, yeah, it's a fiberglass. Scratching your hand, getting it full of fiberglass, little finger fiddly with an Allen key, nightmare, I would think. But by putting the 90-degree, and then you wouldn't want to have much, you wouldn't want to have a regular impact. Again, I'm going to, hype up this old 2.4 volt tool, because even this is only on clutch setting of 5. So out of 5 out of 6. Okay, so it's pretty far up there. Oh wait, no, it's right there. So it's 4. It's 3 3/4 really. So we'll call it 4 out of 6 on the clutch. And the 90-degree tool, and then even on the 90-degree tool, you have to have the short bit. Can't have a slightly longer bit like that. Won't get in there. So by having these 3 tools, I was able to get in there without too much pain. And then and then with some needle nose, I was able to hold the nut on the back and tighten it all up. So now mine won't fall off. I only did one so far, but it only took I guess it took like 2 minutes. And so I got 6 more minutes to go to do the other ones. And there I got the nuts. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that while I'm at it. Any of the skywing guys that are watching this that have these things, did your motor box extension fall off like Mark's and look like mine was going to for sure, because there was no Loctite there? And you still got to go around. On my Extreme Flight, I used Loctite thread locker on good old Zap thread locker, blue, on all the servo arms, and I used it on ball links where it looked like they could come loose as well. So you still got to do all that stuff. And then I think a good idea to do this. And of course I did it on the landing gear, I did on the tail wheel, but I think this is a thing. It certainly was on Mark's new plane, and it looked like it's definitely going to fall off on this one. So comment if you have one and what your experience has been with that motor box extension and keeping it attached with the bolts. Then let's see the last thing, which I really don't understand. That should have been the whole video, is really, because this is just a, got a bad speed controller on here with a bad BEC. Just need to get it replaced. That's not going to happen that often probably. But the big thing that's so weird to me on these 67-inch plug and plays, and it may be all the sizes, I don't know, but I got the Extreme Flight 4 months ago, the Extra 260, and I was pretty surprised that when I went to set up the servos, especially the aileron servos, that I had to turn the radio endpoint settings from their default at 100, which I'm trying to get more than that all the time. I'm trying to get more mechanical advantage and more resolution than 100, at least 110, 110, and hopefully 120, 120s, more ideal. In some situations, I get a little more than that, but you're worried about your angles and geometry and your linearity. We've talked about this linearity thing where you start going too far with the arm and you lose proportional linearity. You get to where you're at the end of the range, you're starting to move the arm a lot. And I'll put my hand in here. From here, you move it just a little and the surface moves quite a bit. But you start to get over here And, getting into this range, now you're moving a lot. And you can see if you look at the plane in the background, the Endoformer 2, I'm moving a lot here, but I'm not getting much movement that way. Whereas when the arm's up here and I move just a little, the arm moves quite a bit. It would move the arm quite a bit that way. So you want resolution mechanical advantage, but you don't want to get to where you're completely proportionally nonlinear, So that's a long story I haven't even got to the point. What shocked me on the extreme flight was that it's supposed to be plug and play. It's supposed to be done, just ready to fly, which it, essentially was. It was just wrong, where they had the servo arm so long in the default position. Your push rod was out so far on the end of a long servo arm that on the ailerons, it would actually crush bevel to bevel at 100. So then you had to turn endpoints in your radio. So then you had to turn that down to like 99 to get it not to crush. And then if you went with the recommended travel, which is I recommend too, which is like in that 38 degree range, then you had to turn it down to like 80 percent, 80 points, 80 steps, in the radio on the endpoints. So now you have no mechanical advantage and you have no resolution. And I went ahead and flew it like that, and it didn't feel that good. I came back, and on the extreme flight, I was able to take the servo arm, and there's 2 more holes, so I was able to move the push rod in on the closer holes, and then thereby getting mechanical advantage, getting resolution, and I was able to turn my endpoints in my radio up to 120, 120, 120, so to get my 39 degrees. So, and then I went and flew the plane, flew completely different. It was just much smoother, and I think it had a lot less blow by because it just felt better all the way around, because the servos weren't working near as hard. So you would think that the manufacturers would want that. If anything, they default it to where you had to increase the servo arm length, take the push rod and push it out further to a hole on the servo arm so people could get more throw, but less mechanical advantage, less resolution, because they don't need that much throw anyway, but at least make them work for it if they're going to, put your servos to a more challenging situation where they're going to get worn out quicker and they're going to have more blow by. So you would think the manufacturer would try to look out for themselves, not wanting to have returns on the servos and people calling about, servos not holding up and not being strong enough. It's just kind of surprising that they did it, but at least you could just, take another hour and put them all in on the inside holes and Loctite them all in, and the whole thing. But it was like an hour's work, to do it. Maybe another hour to, sync everything up. But, so not exactly plug and play anymore, but makes you think, why did I get it this way? Why didn't I just get the part, set it up myself? But anyway, still pretty close, pretty good. But then skywing here on the arms, the servo arms, there is no inside holes at all. So let's see if you can see that there. Yeah, you can pretty much see that. So there's no hole to go to. You could try drilling and tapping them all, but they need to be exactly the same, like on the ailerons. And the elevators, you could get away with it. And yeah, I don't have resolution on the elevators here. I set up the wings on this skywing at 39 degrees. On the ailerons, I set them up at 39 degrees, and my radio is at 63% on the endpoints. So 63 that's how low the endpoints are. So just like an on-off switch, no resolution, no mechanical advantage. I don't get it, because usually, yeah, you think they'd be conservative and thinking about themselves and not wanting you to have that much travel. And like I said, at the default 100 with the stock plug and play setup on this plane, the ailerons, you couldn't move the stick the whole way or you'd break it. You would break the servo out because the bevel would slam closed at about 75% of the stick. The bevels were closed, and at that point you'd just be prying the hinges out, breaking a control horn off. So like I said, to get 39 degrees on the ailerons, I had to go all the way down to 60, 62, 63 in the radio on the endpoints. So I don't get that at all. So this one, I'll fly it, on the maiden, maybe. It depends on how long it takes to get all this stuff. I may have new servo arms by then. But it was fun on the extreme flight to fly it both ways, and to see that it really made a huge difference. I'll probably end up doing that here too, flying it here at 62 endpoint 62, 62. And then, I'll already order the servo arms and then go ahead and swap them out, get that resolution up to, like at least 110, 110, and then go fly it again. I'm sure it'll be just the same as it was for me with the extreme flight, where it flew much better. So to me, this seems like so extreme. Like a lot of times, like I talk about trying to get the geometry just right, trying to get the resolution just right, and synchronization just right. And I think a lot of the guys are going, that's not really necessary, and apparently guys are flying these things plug and play out of the box like this too, and not even worried about it. But to me, this is not like the normal thing. This is like pretty far off, like big far off. And I'm just kind of surprised. And this is, like I said, the skywing's the worst because you can't even fix it, on the plane. You've got to buy new arms, so that's kind of bizarro to me, especially, like, again, I'm repeating myself, but it hurts the manufacturers. They're giving people planes that have no mechanical advantage, so that there's way more torque on the servos. There's more resistance, not torque, but there's way more resistance hitting the servos with this setup. And yeah, that hurts them. That hurts the manufacturer. So it's just kind of surprising to me that, that they would send them out like this. So yeah, this plane, which I'm really looking forward to because I love this plane. It's the same Skywing Extra NG in the same new covering scheme, but this is the yellow one in this covering scheme. This is the orange and blue. Super excited to fly this one, and I got all new battery packs for it from SMC. They're lightweight, and, really good resistance, and everything's cool about them. So really looking forward to trying it. But kind of failure in a few areas here. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about that. All the planes are fun, and you can see I got my black mechanics glove on because all the planes have this now, but there's so much of this fiberglass and all these cuts, and then it gets all in your hands and stuff. Once your plane's done, you just plug in your batteries in and out, so it doesn't really affect you too much. You might rub it once in a while, pick up a little piece, but when you're doing this kind of assembly stuff, and you could pick up a lot of fiberglass in your hands, itching for days. But that's either here nor there. Just sort of kick that out with the rest. Coolest thing going on is I love the way that my graphic looks on the cow. The orange eyes match the orange. It looks pretty sick, and it's pretty 3D, man. It looks like that guy is definitely deep in there coming out. It's a pretty cool one. Pretty stoked on that. That's about all I'm stoked on. Give me time to iron down this covering. Skywing's covering is always, put on cold, and which is, faster and easier for them, but pretty sure that it's gonna, come off on the Maiden, which mine has on the Skywings many times, even if I do a quick ironing. So on this plane, I spent a lot of time, and I had the iron up at 325, really burned down all the stuff, especially these ends right here. I just swipe with the iron, swipe this way to the tip, and make sure those were glued down with heat as best I could. And I did it to all the other edges too. So all these problems give me some time to do that to this plane. Get the ironing, get the covering down real good. Like I said, get this stuff tightened up, and get nylon lock nuts on there. Everything else I could think of, but yeah, I think I'll be waiting for parts on this. Gonna need a replacement speed control with BEC, and yeah, I need to order some servo arms that are shorter. So, as you could tell by my voice, a little bit disenchanted, but no big deal. Got a lot of planes to fly. It's all fun. Not a huge electric fan to begin with, although I was really looking forward to this one. So that's 20 minutes on that subject. Yeah, curious to see if any of you guys with these skywings, had these motorbox extension come loose on those bolts. And if nobody posts about that, at least somebody looking for for assembly on one of these will see that Mark has already discovered this, and I found that these things have no Loctite too and fall right out, and that you should Loctite them, and that's your coolest tool rig with a short bit to take care of it. At least this video has that benefit. And if you want some mechanical advantage and some resolution, which everybody should, you need to get new arms for this thing. All of them. The elevator, rudder, and ailerons all need new arms. All right, that's enough of that. Out.